We're about to begin with our next session. We will have Anukrti Upadhyay, Aruna Nambiar, Meghna Pant, Shaili Chopra and Shrayana Bhattacharya with Harish Bijoor on this panel, Financial Independence Meets Feminism. To give you a small little perspective about each of these individuals, Anukrti has postgraduate degrees in management and literature and a graduate degree in law. She writes fiction and poetry in both English as well as Hindi. Aruna Nambiar, in her previous life, was a student of engineering and management and a banker, now a writer and editor. She writes tongue-in-cheek novels about life, relationships, and idiosyncrasies of Indian society. We have Meghna Pant, award-winning and best-selling author of 8 fiction and non-fiction books, a screenwriter, independent journalist, as well as a speaker. We have Shaili Chopra, a game changer in India's digital landscape, having brought women's issues to the forefront like none other by creating path-breaking digital platforms like shethepeople.tv and guidetree.com. Together, they have billions in digital reach. We have Shrayana Bhattacharya, economist trained at Delhi University and the Harvard Kennedy School. Her writing on women and the economy has appeared in the Mint, Times of India, Hindustan Times. Moderating this panel, none other than Harish Bijoor, brand thinker and practitioner operating out of Namma City, Bengaluru, brand guru who will be bringing out the best. He runs a unique boutique consulting outfit branded the Harish Bijoor Consultants Incorporated. Set up time now to hand it over to our authors.
It's a total delight to be here this morning. We have a subject which is very interesting. It's called On My Own, and it says Feminism and Finance. So it's not so much about very specific aspects related to the books these 5 achievers have put together. It's really more about feminism, finance, and I do believe we have a wonderful team out here which is going to be speaking about it. I have been on the other side with Shaili, and you know, this is the first time I'm on the other side, Shaili. So I'm going to do exactly what you do, which is just to tell everybody that I will stop you when I do believe you need to be stopped. The only person you can't stop is me, only in the beginning, okay? The thing I want to say is these very 5 big achievers, they're thinkers. I'm told they love to talk, and I love to listen, so we're going to be doing a lot of listening. I'm going to drive this discussion on hashtags. I'm just going to throw a thought, and I'm going to take thoughts from each one of them. And I'm going to point and maybe take thoughts all across. And at the end of the session, maybe we'll have a Q&A session, okay? Nearly half of us in India are women, and the fact remains that this means that this makes the total population of women in this country the largest, covers several countries together, put together, comprise the women population of the country. And that's why you see this panel being the way it is. If you look at it, let's make it fun. First point I would like to make is, why is it women, otherwise so competent, why is it that they cannot find the same competence with money? Oh, very contentious thing, huh? Many of you women in the audience are going to say, I'm much better than any of you men, you know, in that manner. But why is it the same competence is not discovered? Because this is an India fact, okay? We're a 1.4 billion population, and, you know, about 49% of them women, so you know what a large business that is. How do women become independent in all ways? Because money is a kind of an independence. Money and women is normally considered to be a dysfunctional relationship. Ouch! I see Shaili glaring at me. But the point is it a dysfunctional relationship? If so, why? Indian data says that Indian women are the most underinsured in the world. Indian women do not have enough savings in their own names. Only 33% of Indian women manage their own bank accounts. Out of 33%, 61% are actually Benami accounts actually opened for the women. Ouch! These are big numbers. So money and the single woman. Are there dimensions to it as well? We'll keep discovering each one of it. So I'm going to start with the first one. You know, the first one is, what is money? So I remember classically reading that money is what money buys. And that is a commercial definition of money. What is money? Money is what money buys. Commercial definition. What is money? Money is what money does. Does? Now, this is an emotional definition. So we're going to look at the emotional aspects of money as well. And therefore, the first question goes out, and the first hashtag is, money is an emotion. Is it an emotion? Shaili.
Hi, good morning. Since Harish didn't say it, I'll say it. The previous session had a man in the center, more or less. He ate into our session by 15 minutes. So everyone hang around for another 15, okay? For all of us.
Never mind, it was Farhan Akhtar, okay? We will call it.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
That's terrible. These are 5 amazing women. By the end of this, you'll want the session to be doubled up, okay?
She's got your attention.
All right. No, I'm going to now get it with what I'm going to say. He's talking about money as an emotion, right? He said, what is money? What was your economic definition?
Money is
what money buys. What does it buy? My ability to say no. It's a big buy.
Interesting.
Huge buy, right? And I would do anything to have that power. That's really what I want to buy. I can stand up and say no. And I can choose what I want to say yes to. I put this out 4 years ago on Twitter and Instagram that dear dads, husbands, brother-in-laws, father-in-laws, and brothers, stop telling us come and take our money. What we have is yours. We want our own money to take our own decisions in our own bank account to do what we want to do with it. And I think really the idea of putting this entire session today, to me, like the word feminism is financial freedom. And the minute that comes, I think it just equalizes a great deal of things. That's really the starting point of where we are in our conversation on how women will get equality, how will they manage to fill up CEO chairs, how will they be able to lead organizations. I swear to God, you give the woman a budget as the top person who's managing something, everyone's just going to fall in line. It's the money. It's really the money.
All
so
right.
I just want to start by saying
What
that.
a beautiful start. What a beautiful start. An empowering start. Money is an emotion.
Money is Shah Rukh Khan. Thank you for saying what you did on behalf of everyone on the panel. I want to start actually with a question you asked. Why is it that we see, women are not really often with money? Well, because we're in the bottom 5 of the world when it comes to women's economic freedoms. We have the lowest employment rate for women. The latest data, which actually colleagues of ours in the private sector are celebrating, but we should all just be very shameful, 18% of board members in the largest companies of India are women. And so if the world continues in the economy, picking up from what Shaili said, continues to be a boys' club, is it really that surprising that we see the outcomes that we're seeing, right? Now, money is Shah Rukh Khan, and what I meant by that is money is pleasure. Money is the ability to essentially be able to buy what you want to do with your time, spend time the way you would like to. And the sad fact of the world is currently, in the book I describe, in my book I describe how women use money to watch their favorite actor. It's a very simple example. It's a proxy of women's purchasing power. And you realize how hideously difficult it is for women to do something as simple as seek their own pleasure.
Yep.
I talk about Shah Rukh Khan. I think others can talk about different examples of that. And it should really make us think twice about how we think about women's role in managing money, and maybe men should step out of the way a little bit when it comes to money. So yeah, money is Shah Rukh Khan and money is pleasure.
Hey, we're getting newer and newer definitions of money. Beautiful. I'm going to give it a tweak when I'm asking you this question. Money, incidentally, it so happens, I'm privy to some sociological research exercises on money and women, and it says that money is an emotion, but everyone has a childhood story of money. Everyone has a childhood story of money which defines their outlook to money, attitude to money, and swag to money. Are there childhood stories which affect women?
There are stories that affect all of us. But money, I have had the good fortune or ill fortune of seeing men largely, because I worked in investment banks for a very long period of time, I saw the relationship between men and money, or rather men and the lure of money. So money is definitely an emotion, a story, a memory. However, they are different for the genders. For men, it means one thing, power, virility. For women, it means freedom, security. It means a place of your own, a room of your own, to be your own person, as and Virginia Woolf said, all you need is a room and a private income to write. That is what money is, a freedom to express yourself.
Wonderful. Money, childhood memories, crafting, attitude to money.
So I believe, hi everyone. So how many of you all think that women should earn money? And be honest,
Everyone.
almost everyone. How many of you think women also have the power to enjoy the money that they earn? Fewer hands. This is the problem, right? Society is okay with women earning money right now, but we still don't have the agency to enjoy. And that's what I keep saying. Money, how many positivities are we talking about nowadays? Body positivity, mental health positivity, age positivity, gender positivity. Why are we not talking about money positivity? He looked past my mother and I, and we had come with our own money, and said, Sir, nahi aaye? Because he was looking for my father or my brother. And through many such madam sir moments, I then started having a positive relationship with money. And I used that as a means of freedom. I was in an abusive marriage where I was left penniless. I came back to Mumbai with almost nothing and went down the financial chain because I was an MBA with a corporate finance job. Then I moved to business journalism. I worked for Times Now in NDTV and then in New York. Then I became a magazine editor in Dubai. And then I became a full-time writer. And that power came only from one thing, which was financial freedom and the ability to live within your means and having that positive relationship with money. So the power to be left penniless, to be able to pursue your passion, to able to gain some sort of respect has all come from this. And I think that's what, for me, it's a societal construct like everything else. And money positivity is something that we should be talking about more because it helps women not only pursue their dreams, pursue their passion, but to also get themselves out of difficult careers, difficult marriages, difficult relationships, and to truly come into their own. So I think money for me has been the most emancipating thing. And I keep telling people, please don't save for your daughter's marriage or wedding. Please save for their education because therein lies the true liberation.
Wow, wow, wow. We are getting newer and newer definitions of money. Aruna, your book, I started reading it. You write so well. I mean, seamless. What's the name of your latest book?
It's called the Weird Women's Club. And I should say that, women immediately understood what I was talking about when they heard the title, even before they read the book.
Yeah.
Every woman in this audience knows what it feels like to feel a little odd because they don't fit into a socially sanctioned role. Yeah. And that is usually tied up with your family status and your relationship status. Yeah. So women, even today, you'll have parents who'll say, I can die in peace once you're settled. And settle means getting married. Yeah. So you can be a CEO and you could be earning more than the male members, but you're not settled till you're married. Yeah. Or your family is not complete unless you have children. Yeah. So we talk about economic freedom, but and I think it's very important, but I think economic freedom itself, we are talking from a position of privilege. So even if you look at our domestic help, for example, they're all earning, many of them are earning more than their husbands. But because of their socio-economic backgrounds, they are not free to live independently. Maybe because they don't feel safe, or maybe because their husbands just take all their money and use it to drink. So economic freedom itself comes from a position of privilege when we talk about economic freedom. I think as women, what we need to do, and that's what the Weird Women's Club is about, we need to pause for a minute and think about all our conditioning over the years and weigh for ourselves whether it is valid. There is a scene in the book where Jeru, who is struggling to have kids, she's done IVF and she struggled with adoption and all of that. And, her husband asked her, Jeru, is it so important to you to have kids? And, for the first time, she pauses to reflect. And she says, growing up, that was not so important to me. Marriage and kids was not part of my dreams. But marriage and kids are something that's just supposed to happen to you, like puberty and the menopause. And if it doesn't just happen to you, you're supposed to make it happen, aren't you? And so for the first time, she actually stops to consider what she's been told all her life. And I think women are never groomed to be on your own. The title of the panel is On One's Own. But we are never trained to be on one's own. We are always trained to be part of a collective, part of a family unit, our own family, then our husband's family. We are supposed to adjust. We are supposed to go with the flow, all for the collective good. So individualism is not, even within privileged families and privileged women, individualism is not encouraged. I think money is very important. It's freedom, it's security, it's all of that. But it can also, and the other side of it today is that women are expected to work and are expected to contribute to the family, but we are not getting the support we require.
Okay.
We are still expected to come home and do the housework and look after the kids and look after the elders.
Absolutely.
So in some ways, I think we have more challenges today than our parents' generation did.
Beautiful. I think, particularly when I peek into your book and read some of the characters, the title itself, I didn't think it was so straightforward to me. Women think differently, and we men think differently. So I read it as Wired Women's Club. Not really weird, but beautiful.
Men immediately,
I think the audience emotes with your title.
My experience is that men immediately think it's something sexual.
Yeah.
And we are women's club.
Yeah.
And I was actually worried when because
is the book selling a lot?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Actually,
we'll
I
not
hope
go
it
up
is.
that alley. Okay, I'm going to come back to Shaili now, and I'm going to talk about money and negativity. Shaili, in this book which you put together, I mean, it's a tome on its own. It really talks about sisterhood in a big manner. I'm an admirer of She the People, and I think I love that brand name for a start, to say we the people, the Constitution, and She the People. You're doing beautiful work. Tell me, is there negativity, money and negativity? Let's explore that.
I don't know. Do men think that their wallet is negative? Oh, come on, yeah. Why do we have this notion that a rich woman or the great example that went viral was Sushmita Sen being called a gold digger? I'm like, come on. Is there anyone who's a winner in this? We know is the other chap, right? I just think that we just never ask these questions. So in my previous life, I was a business journalist, and I spent time interviewing 267 men before I said, I've interviewed only 2 women in this, I need to do something else. And most of the men were so comfortable discussing at every gig, the water cooler in the office or at a party, listen, what's up with the bonus, man? I'm like, where are the women talking about bonuses? Why aren't they talking about money? Why aren't they talking about their promotion sides? Why aren't they asking for more money? I think there is zero negativity. I think it's a construct that's built by men who believe that women don't manage money well enough, even though they're the first ones to come and say, here, figure out the ration and do whatever else you need to do, because I won't do that. I just think it's absurd. And part of the reason for this is that we are not just seeing that men have most of the money, but they think that it's a given that women just can't do anything with it. And I think that's deeply problematic because, as somebody here on the panel said, it's all linked with some of the other things that are happening in society, and that's what I bring out in Sisterhood Economy. You start seeing women have a party and normalize their partying, you'll be like, oh yeah, we know how she spends her money. Or you normalize a woman who's coming bags full, not a shirt for her father-in-law and a mother-in-law sari and her children, but something for herself, and she puts herself first. She's like, this is what I got for myself first. Have a look at that. And you normalize that she knows what she's doing with her money. So I actually don't even understand the concept of why money should be negative.
Wonderful.
I want women to be super rich and
Wonderful.
show off your money.
Wonderful.
Go ask for it and work for it.
Wonderful. Shrayana, money, negative memories?
No, I actually want to say something else, which is I'm actually kind of tired of us women constantly being put up on panels, being asked to constantly explain the harassment and abuse and economic infreedom that all of us are facing.
All right.
I'm tired. In fact, I highly advise it's time every festival had a manual on women's issues where we only get men up, ask them, why are you not paying these women enough? Why are you not treating your wife's labor, which is not paid?
Absolutely.
64%. It's really important for us to recognize, I think what Shaili was saying, 64% of labor that Indian women do is unpaid. Indian women are working all the time, irrespective of whether you're earning a salary, a paycheck, across class, across caste. And I am tired of women being constantly put up on some panel, up on some spectrum and saying, please constantly explain to us how we are harassing and treating you unfairly. I think it's high time we just realize the problem with all of this negative business, is men and masculinity. And I think it's high time we had a conversation about that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. You know, no Rona Dhona at the Bangalore Literature Festival. We leave that to Shah Rukh Khan and his films. And now I don't want to get beaten up, but I'm going to ask you a question, which is related to, hang on, both Shaili and Shrayana spoke about it in a little manner. Is there a mafia out there? Is there a men's mafia out there which says women are not good at managing money? Somebody answer? Okay. Is there a mafia out there? Women are not good at managing money. You know, if you particularly listen to that as a statement, I mean, is that a mafia? Is this being said today?
I must confess, I have never heard this before. This is the first time that I'm hearing that women are not good at managing money. Women for ages have managed money, ran their homes, and every woman I know, every single woman I know, manages home finances, manages children's education funding, insurance. Women might be underinsured, but they make sure everybody in the family has health insurance, everyone has all kinds of financial security fallback. So this is the first time I'm hearing. Is there a mafia? We should ask the...
Okay, ask the man. Okay, listen, I'm quoting an UNCTAD study across 23 countries.
I just also want to say I love you for saying what you said.
There you go.
We should love me and Shah Rukh together.
We all love her. We all love her. The thing is, there's an UNCTAD study which looks at 23 countries, and this says that women, the attitude, there are myths in societies, and these 23 societies think women are not good at managing money, which is a sad thing. I'm so glad we haven't heard of it in India. But let's talk about, yet another myth. You know, there are 3 big myths about women, and one of it is what I just said, and I nearly got beaten up. No, will get beaten up shortly. I'm going to say one more. And this is again from that study which covers 23 countries, because let's make it data-oriented. At the end of the day, it says that women are good at spending money. Now listen, now that doesn't mean that men are not good at spending money. But this attitude among men, and this is a research exercise across men, which says that women are good at spending money, which really says a negative. Now, what's your take on that? I mean, isn't it a big negative? Sorry.
If you're earning your money, why aren't you entitled to spend it? It's your money.
There goes.
And one thing I just want to say, circling back to what you mentioned earlier, I'll give you a little anecdote of my Nani ji. She was never sent to school because, misogyny. And at the age of 35, she found herself widowed with 5 children to raise in Shimla. And thereupon, she broke open a wall, and in that wall, she had stashed away these gold coins that her husband, when he was alive, used to give her. And that woman sent her children to the best schools in Shimla. My mother was a gold medalist in Chandigarh University. She became the Chief Commissioner of Mumbai. And this was all thanks to my Nani ji, who never even knew the word feminism, but yet created, pardon my French, the fuck-off fund. And every woman in India from our Nani ji's generation has had a secret stash squirreled away called the fuck-off fund. Yeah. So when you say women can't manage money, that's because you don't have access to that knowledge. Men don't even know what women are doing because they're so foolish, right? So please go ahead, take this tradition forward. Don't any money you get, squirrel it away quietly. let them think you spent it on, Prada or LVs or whatever frivolous thing men think women spend money on, and let it not go towards tomato bhaji ka bill. Let it not go towards the children's education fund. Let that be your own money, because therein again lies your true emancipation. That fuck off fund will let you go out there and rule the world on your terms, with your agency and exactly where you're meant to be, at the top of the world. So please start creating that fund for yourself.
Folks, I have a new definition of money. Now, I don't know, we'll need to use a lot of stars and hashtags, etc., in defining it the way you're defining it. But I have my own dash, hash, dash, hash definition of this, in the sense that I have a story, and the story is a demonetization story. All of us went through that. One fine day, I landed at the airport on that particular day, and my wife calls me up and says, fill up the car with petrol. I said, and with 500 rupee notes. I said, why? With 1,000 rupee notes, sorry. And fill it up. I said, why? She says, demonetization has happened. It was a November 8th. It hit us badly. I walked back home. My wife is in a big tizzy, because right on the table, there's 64,000 rupees kept on the table. And I'm saying, how did 64,000 rupees land up in my house? I didn't even know. So you give me an angle, and I keep that angle in my mind. But the point is, women have a classic way of dealing with money. Women have a classical relationship with money. Women have possibly a deeper relationship with money than a lot of men I know. If you look at it, let's go on to another track. I'm going to start asking, this way around now. Actually, what do you do with your money? But Aruna, when I ask that, please give me an honest answer. This has to be honest to death kind of an answer, okay? In the sense that hand on heart kind of an answer. What do you do with your money? And if you do something different with your money, or if someone else has an impact on your money, you must state it. And I might know that someone else, not yet. I will tell you, my research methodology is more observational. I would have loved to make it observational. And typically what I would do is, I'd go up to people, and I was interviewing people. I'd ask them, bring out your wallet. I want to see your wallet. Because everybody pretends at interviews, and I would never like anybody to pretend. So bring out your wallets. They bring out we men keep our wallets very close to our hearts. We whip it out, and then I would look into the wallet and see how money is arranged. So once I met a madman who arranged 500 rupees, 200 rupees, 100 rupees, 50 rupees, 20 rupees, etc., in a particular order. And I said, you're a very systematic guy. I'm going to recruit you. And then he said, sir, count the serial number on the notes. You will see that they're all serially upward numbered. Now I said, you're a madman, I don't want you. But the reason I said is honest to earth, observational kind of a research. I'm not going to peek into any of your handbags, because that's the best way of doing research. A woman's handbag is possibly a Pandora's box of information. That's the truth. What do you do with your money? And totally truthfully. Totally truthfully.
Well,
a woman's mind is a Pandora's box of information, not her purse, right? Isn't a woman's mind a Pandora box of information? Why are you talking about a woman's purse?
The man's wallet is even richer. I can tell you 20 stories about.
No, I think women's wallets are nowadays richer than men's wallets. Sorry.
Let me hear you.
Well, firstly, I have to tell you that I'm an ex-banker. So I took exception to your statement that women don't know how to
Wonderful.
manage money. Banking is full of women, and at the highest levels. And as everybody on this panel said, every woman manages money on some level. And they have knowledge about money. It's just that they are controlled by men. So as far as I'm concerned, again, I'm speaking from a position of privilege. To me, my husband's money is my money, and I spend it the way I want. And I save some of it, I spend it on what I want, and I spend it on essentials. But again, as I say, it comes from a position of privilege.
Wonderful, wonderful. What about you? What do you do with your money?
So I'm, thanks to my mother, whom I mentioned earlier, and the many Madam Sir moments, I'll be honest with you guys, I invest my money. I make sure that whatever I earn, I save at least 40%. I know 25% is a go-to rate, but I think 40% is very, very important. And the one thing I say is, please understand who you are as a person, what your relationship is with money, and what are the things that are important for you. So I find especially a lot of young people will splurge all their money on, say, going out, or, during the pandemic, we saw especially the Gen Z and the millennials who lost their jobs, they were really struggling. So I think the important and valuable lesson, which I hosted the show on Audible called Show Me the Money, where we spoke about this, is splurge on things that are important to you. So for example, for me, traveling is very important. So all my money will go into traveling.
Wonderful.
But I will not spend on going out to expensive restaurants, and I will not spend on alcohol at all, because it's not things that give me pleasure. So things that give you pleasure, be kind to yourself, you have earned it, enjoy it. You remember Mahua Moitra bought the LV bag and she was trolled for it, right? So I wrote a whole article about it, that why can't women enjoy their money?
Yeah,
Why is
absolutely.
society so jealous when a woman is, enjoying and splurging on things that are important to her? But you as an individual identify what's important to you, spend on that, and everything else, please be very conjuice and save your money on everything else, so that it gives you the power later on in life to splurge on things that are important to you. So that's my very the sensible financial advice that I give everyone.
Wonderful. Your take on money. What do you do with it?
I must confess my privilege. I am a finance professional, worked in banks all my life. So, one, financial literacy is of paramount importance. We do not have financial literacy in India to the extent there should be. The second thing is we are all urban women here and extremely privileged in our own ways, educated, independent women. When we talk about what we do with our money, it's not the same as a rural woman or a woman of a different economic strata. And it's important to represent them too. And I'm sad that there is no representative here for them.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
must speak for them. Whatever I do with my money is of relatively lesser importance. However, the women who make my life really comfortable, my helpers, people who look after my home and help me in every possible way, and who are like my family members, what do they do with their money? So I help them invest it in the safest possible financial investments that still are the National Savings Certificate, the post office, and that type of stuff. And I also help them to rationally spend it.
Yeah.
Splurging is not really a luxury they can
Wonderful, yeah.
afford. But to me, the one single thing that is of utmost importance for all women, young and old, is financial literacy. Please learn how to diversify your risks. Please learn how to manage liquidity. Please know what your immediate, medium-term, long-term financial needs are.
Wonderful. Thank you. In fact, we are blessed in this panel to have two people from the world of finance in some way or the other at some point of time or the other. And I think they should take equal umbrage to the study which says that women are differently enabled when it comes to finances. So I think, the truth lies somewhere in that research. And I think,
By
the
differently
truth
able, they
needs
mean
to be
better
changed.
abled.
Better able. Wonderful.
Better able,
Wonderful.
right? Why differently
Women are
able?
better
Better
able.
able.
What do you do with your money?
I pay taxes,
Ah.
and I think all the women, particularly single women, and by the way, this is not just true for upper class women, this is true for women cross class. We have the highest rates of what economists call pink taxes in India. Be it price. We know there was a fight to try and figure out ways to reduce those taxes, be it on single women's housing. So I pay more rent than many of my other colleagues would who are married or men. So I pay taxes, and then I do all the other wonderful things that I think many of the women here. But I do want to highlight that women are paying higher taxes with the money that we're apparently struggling to manage.
I love that answer on taxes. Thank you. Shaili.
So I've been thinking really hard about it. This is the one question I would have loved if it started here. What I do with my money is none of your business.
There you are.
And what I do with my money is to have the agency to say that whatever I'm doing with it needn't be told aloud. It's my money. I will decide what I want to do with it. That said, some of the conversations here are really important, because what Anukrti said about how do we showcase. So this is what I do. I become a role model when I spend my money, when I earn my money, when I see that my 5-year-old girl sees that I'm working hard as hell to earn that money, and where that money is taking me. I do that for my Didi, the 4 people who run my house, because then I can go out there and earn money. And a very, very tiny story from Bombay, when I moved there a few years ago. I had my first child, and I asked around for a Didi to come, a nanny. She came in and she said, I have a really small baby too. So I said, how are you going to work for, my child? She said, I will earn from you and you will pay me. I will get a nanny for myself. And I was like, yes, that's what money does to us, right? And that really changed the way I think I thought about how just by earning I was being a role model out there, and she was my role model too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You know, if you really look at it now, I think it's time for the audience questions. I must tell you that I've been purposely contentious in some of the statements that I'm making because it's extremely critical and important for us to not be politically correct on the subject. We need to be politically incorrect as well, and I think this has been a terrific panel which has actually explored every aspect of it. So please give them a big hand, and then I'll take questions. Thank you.
I wanted to ask about like confidence, right? Like women generally don't have much confidence. And even though I make money, I don't have the confidence to invest it. I want to squirrel it all, keep it. I'm insecure about money a lot. So where do you reach that point? And I know a big part of it is literacy, but where do you reach that point where you feel more confidence with your money and with how you spend it and how you invest it and creating that own financial freedom, like psychologically more than just like physically making that money?
Here we'll have Anarchy. Whoever wants to take the question, please take it.
Should I take a step?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. How do you get the confidence? By getting it. It is like yoga, right? You do it by doing it. You become better at it by doing it more. So it is a muscle that you exercise. It takes a lot of time, and I know it sounds simple to say, but it's a great effort to put your hard-earned money to work without actually knowing whether it's going to work out or not, right? But that is how you achieve confidence. Also, I am a big advocate of sisterhood. There are women out there in the financial world, around you, your mother, your sisters, your friends, people you come in contact with professionally, they are all there. Ask them if you feel not confident at any point of time. But to me, your asking that question shows that you are confident, you are there.
I think
Stakes are higher though for women, like a lot higher.
Oh, of course. Stakes are higher for us in every aspect of our life. It's just the way our society is shaped right now. But I'm looking at you to change it and looking at all of us to change it.
Thank you. Thank you for that lovely answer.
Just one
yeah.
couple of observations. One is we are still assuming that all women are in heteronormative relationships. So we are still talking about men and women. What about women? Those are not.
Okay.
And secondly, for me, the narrative of taking money from somebody and the fact that it's so one-dimensional is very deeply problematic. At some point, I have been an earning woman, but I've also relied on my partner because of mental illness, because of moving abroad, because of my career choice. I can't earn as much as my partner. So I think it's time to look at the fact that you might be dependent on someone with a little more detail and texture than, oh, you can't take money from a man. I think being in 2022, we should look at it with more complexity than we are.
If I could
Any
just,
comment?
Actually,
Yeah.
I completely, and I think the point that you made about the sort of hetero trap of this conversation, I want to sort of endorse that. But I do want to say one thing. We are right now in a political moment where women are being increasingly marginalized from the economy. I mean, the pandemic has just, men have returned to jobs, maybe lower quality jobs, poorer jobs in terms of pay, but women have just been wiped out. And while the rural economy is seeing a slight increase in women's presence, many people say it's because of actually destitution, and there's a lot of stress out there. So women are again going back and doing fairly regular agricultural jobs. Urban jobs are just not recovering. And given that, I hear you on the texture of dependence, and this is something I definitely get into, certainly in my writing and the work that I was doing. But I also have realized that it's very important to make a very strong political message about women being independent, because otherwise we fall very quickly back into that trap of believing that we need to nurture a world where women must rely just on men and marriage. And I hear what you're saying, but I think we still live in a world where 70% of the creative energies of women in their 30s are locked within homes. And I actually believe that that work should be rewarded and paid. I'm a big believer in transfers to women. Universal basic incomes reward domestic duties. But I also think politically, I think the reason you hear so many of us perhaps say it the way I think we're phrasing it is because I think we're also very conscious of how politically the conversation can just suddenly again go back to tradition. And I think it's important to fight that. But Thank you for your point.
Thank you,
I
Shrayana,
think,
and thank you for that lovely question.
And can
a
I
very,
quickly
very
say,
pointed question.
also
I'm going to,
the notion of paid labor versus unpaid labor and the economics of motherhood, economics of the caregiver, right? There was this study conducted by ET which said that homemakers should get paid 45,000 rupees a month. But how do you monetize something like that? So whoever's the primary caregiver, how do you recognize unpaid labor that is going in? The economics of being single mothers. There are 31 million single mothers in our country today. How are they, being a mother is hard enough. How are you being a mother and managing your finances? This topic, this issue is so, complex. It's so, there's so many variants that we can take of it. And the pandemic, like we said, it wiped out almost $250 billion because women lost jobs. We lost 8% of our GDP because women could no longer work. So, we've got 51% graduates, women graduates in India. McKinsey had done a study. In entry level, they become less than 30%. By senior management, they are 10%, and CEO level, they are 1%. Where are all these women going? So we also have to bring in the whole issue of the economics of motherhood, of being primary caregivers to the elderly parents, their children, and running the home. And how do we monetize that? It's such a deep
Wonderful. Yeah.
I think
I
we
agree.
also need to...
Aruna, I'm going to interrupt
Yeah, okay.
because I've already been told that we have exceeded time. Listen, actually we haven't exceeded time. This has been a beautiful panel. We still have about 4 minutes to spare, which we are contributing into the Farhan Akhtar Fund because he took more time. And therefore, I'm going to close this by just telling you one thing. And that one thing is Anukrti, Aruna, Meghna, Shaili, and Shrayana. They've spoken so well today. It isn't enough to peek into their minds and the kind of valuable work they do. You must read their books because within them lie the answers to a lot of what we have discussed today. Please give them a big hand. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.